San Diego County is close to moving to a more restrictive tier under the state's rules, which could mean businesses close again. But some of our local leaders are at odds over the reopening and the economy amid this pandemic.
County Supervisor Jim Desmond says there doesn't need to be a choice between public safety and a strong economy, and that local needs are more important than California's rules right now. Supervisor Desmond, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Well, thank you very much.
So your motion yesterday to defy the state's rules and reopen businesses here in the county was shot down by the county board. And earlier we spoke to Supervisor Nathan Fletcher about why it didn't get support. And here's what he told us. Then we want to get your response.
Thankfully, not a single one of my colleagues supported that effort. It's reckless. It's irresponsible. The notion that somehow we can just wish this away and defy public health orders that are designed to slow the spread. They're designed to open our businesses. They're designed to save lives. I thought was irresponsible, and it wasn't really a partisan issue. I'm grateful that my colleagues in a bipartisan fashion rejected this approach.
So my understanding is that it wasn't seconded to allow a vote. So can you clarify that and explain why you don't think the board was on board with your proposal?
Well, I can't really talk for the rest of my board members, and one thing that's left out here is I'm willing to have businesses open up safely. If they can open up safely, and they can abide by all the health and safety guidelines, then we should allow them to open. And my motion was that we enforce all of the safety guidelines. We'll let the state enforce the closure guidelines. That was my motion. And so it didn't go over well, which is fine. And we're going to have differences on this thing, and it's good to have differences. So maybe we can meet somewhere in the middle, as we move closer. But the gist of this is this color-coded tier system that the governor has imposed upon us is impossible to achieve. To yellow, the best tier, the least restrictive tier, we have to have less than one positive case out of 100,000 people per day, and which is impossible. Even if we had a vaccine, vaccines aren't even 100% accurate. So to be a 100,000% accurate, or be able to stop the virus 100,000% of the time is crazy. So we're pushing back and saying, look, we can open up safely. Many of these industries that called in yesterday, the whole hotel industries that can't open up their meeting rooms, that can't have events, wedding industries that can't hold weddings, yet weddings are being pushed into people's backyards and done illegally, and that's where we've had outbreaks from. The boating industry, the street fair industry. Street fairs can't operate, but swap meets can. This Legoland, the zoo, the safari park, and SeaWorld are open. Legoland can't be. There's so many inconsistencies, and 99.9% of the businesses in San Diego County want to open up safely. I think the county should enforce all of the safety regulations. If you're going to open, you open up safely. Let the state be the hammer and shut you down. We no longer want to be in that business. That was my proposal. Things work very slowly in government. I'm going to keep knocking on that door so that we can have rational, common sense opening and do it in a safe and effective manner.
You say you've talked to many business owners who say they just can't go on anymore.
Yeah.
We had almost 100 callers yesterday, calling in. And the reason we are moving towards purple right now is because of the 700 positive outbreak cases at San Diego State, which has zero to do with any businesses. Why should a business in Fallbrook, North County, San Marcos, Oceanside, why should they shut down because there was a student outbreak at San Diego State? Now I'm a San Diego State alumni. I'm not knocking them at all, but these things are going to happen. And as long as we have, and we do, have the hospital capacity and the testing capacity and the treatment capacity, we are in the single digits of percentages of people being in the hospitals for COVID. It's like 7% of the people that are in the hospital are there for COVID,
right,
and less than half of those are in the ICUs. So we have the capacities to treat the spikes. We have that are going to happen. We have the capacity to do that. We should be allowing more businesses that can operate safely to open up. We've got over 200,000 people in San Diego County still unemployed.
Look, we don't have a crystal ball here, which would be nice in 2020, but when we look back, do you think businesses shut down and the economic impact will be more detrimental than the number of COVID cases our county could experience?
Well, it's kind of apples and oranges. The economic and then the health impact. They go hand in hand, and there is a factor, a negative effect. One of the things we thought, which it actually was good news we heard yesterday, the suicide rate is down actually over this, but the drug overdose, deaths by drug overdose is like quadrupled, since last year. So a lot of people are coping with this virus and with the uncertainty and frustration with drugs, and they're dying because of it. So there's unintended consequences. And one of the things that we keep doing is we keep blaming the businesses. And there's many other factors involved, like the case with San Diego State, the fact that we're opening up, elementary schools, and the fact we had demonstrators and protests in early July, about the same time we opened up the businesses. So to always go back and blame the businesses is not a fair assessment. We can do this safely, we can have our economy, and we can fight this virus at the same time.
Supervisor Jim Desmond joining us this morning. Thank you so much for having this important conversation. Yeah, we'll check in with you soon. I know a lot of people are closely watching the numbers.
Yeah.